Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to join you at the Delivering for Nutrition conference organized by IFPRI. Thank you so much for inviting us. I'm here to present a summary of our work on the PMMVY program that we've been doing in Madhya Pradesh. And this is work that we've been jointly doing with Purnima Menon from IFPRI, as well as my colleagues, Grant Miller from Stanford, Alessandro Tarozzi from UPF in Barcelona, Matt Bunyi, who's a colleague at Duke. He also helped me produce this video, Mantasha Hussain and Rachel Varghese, both from JPAL. So this project is what we're trying to, what I'll be presenting today briefly is a background on what the project is about, the scoping study findings that we did earlier in the year. The three main findings around awareness issues, enrollment issues, as well as the challenges in making these payments under the PMMVY program. And then I will leave you with a summary of the work that we've been developing on an experiment to try and address some of these limitations we've found with the program and its implementation. Overall, the PMMVY program is one of the largest maternal cash transfer programs in India. It was launched a few years ago. The objective was to provide cash to mothers when they are pregnant. And this cash was supposed to be delivered in three tranches, total of about 5,000 rupees. One was when the mother registers her pregnancy, gets her antenatal visits, and especially the second payment was when the antenatal payment visit is done. But there are three transfers under the PMMVY program. One is when the mother registers the pregnancy, the second when she gets her antenatal visits in the third trimester, and the final payment when the full set of immunizations have been completed. And the program was supposed to be eligible for mothers who are experiencing their first time pregnancy and have a live birth. Our research agenda wanted to understand the program implementation and the challenges and to try and develop targeted interventions, as I mentioned to you. Our study of the PMMVY implementation looked at several key potential areas for the bottlenecks. So as you can imagine, once a mother gets pregnant, she needs to be aware of the program and its benefits in order to be able to then enroll in the program. And once the enrollment process is complete, then the payments are being made to the mother. And then finally, the mother is able to receive these funds and be able to use these funds for the targeted objective of the program. And that sort of roughly tells us where the bottlenecks might be. One of the things we found in our scoping study was only about 30% of eligible mothers would even be aware of the program, and very few of them were aware of the specific details of the PMMVY program. The other thing that we wanted to point out was even among those respondents that we surveyed, the enrollment was only about half. About 45% of eligible beneficiaries reported remembering that they had an Anganwadi worker who filled out the form. So overall, the awareness of the program and awareness of the benefits of the program and the processes was fairly low. When we did the household survey and then also compared it with administrative data, what we find is that very few people actually reported having received these payments. So the awareness that money was even transferred among those who had already received the money was fairly low. So based on these data that we were able to collect, what we understand is that there are delays in payments because of which mothers are not even aware when the payment arrives. Sometimes these are administrative processes, such as excessive paper documentation and stuff. Sometimes it's about the lack of appropriate digital applications and stuff. Overall, when the money is received, there remains a large gap in terms of when the mother is able to even access the bank account where the money is transferred to. So for example, in the three districts that we were collecting data, what we find is roughly about 7 kilometers is the average distance that the beneficiary has to travel in order to access these bank accounts. In a state where if you're living in rural parts of Madhya Pradesh and it's in the middle of COVID, accessing the bank account just got a lot harder. On average, we find that households were accessing their banks roughly about once every 2 months or so. So the key premise of the program that we were hoping that the cash transfers would reach mothers during their pregnancy and they can use that money to consume more nutritious food is going to be extremely challenging. So it was in light of these findings that we developed interventions and solutions. The main one was around trying to develop postcard interventions, which were low cost, can be targeted around the time of the payment so that the mother can be reminded about the money having been transferred to her bank account, also about what she needs to do for the next payment and what she can do with the money. So I'll just show you an example of what this postcard would look like. And here you can say this is for the first installment, reminding the mother which bank account the money was transferred to and what she can do with this amount of money, what kinds of food she might want to use. So this is where our collaboration with IFPRI became really salient. This is an example of what the the postcard for the second installment would look like. Overall, we were able to work with the Department of Post and Telegram to be able to develop this intervention and send this out. As you can see, over time, the time since the payment to when the postcards were sent out went down, which is great. But all of this was before COVID struck. Once COVID came along, the whole project was put on hold. And so where we are right now is we've gone back to the drawing board. The government of Madhya Pradesh has told us that the payments under the program has resumed. So we are now exploring how we can repeat the postcard interventions, but we also want to follow up with the previous postcard recipients and understand if there's any differences both in terms of enrollment and utilization. So with that, I'll stop, and my colleagues Purnima and Rachel, who are in the audience, can help answer any more questions. Thank you so much again.